The 49ers got a stunning upset to the Minnesota Vikings tonight, 22-17. I'm going to be honest, I did not see this coming. I thought that the 49ers were going to have a bounce back game, but Kirk Cousins and company, they had other plans for how they felt this game was going to go, because Kirk Cousins balled out. I know he threw that interception really early into this game, but after that, this has to be one of the best primetime performances that I've ever seen Kirk Cousins have. And even though the stats may not blow you away with the touchdown interception ratio, Kirk Cousins was really surprising me with how he was standing in the pocket, taking big hits and still delivering dimes downfield. Kirk Cousins right now is playing like a top 5 quarterback in the league, and he's playing at an MVP level. The Minnesota Vikings offensive line hasn't been that good this season. They played a hell of a game tonight, and Kirk Cousins, he was really accurate despite the fact that there were multiple occasions where he had guys coming down on him. And if you watch the Netflix quarterback documentary series, it wouldn't surprise you, because Kirk Cousins is a really tough quarterback. He may be the toughest quarterback in the league, because some of the hits that he was taking really was kind of scaring me, because I was like, is he going to get up after that? And then the fact that he's still able to deliver accurate passes with pressure in his face, I think Kirk Cousins needs to get a little bit more respect. I know in the past he hasn't showed up in big games, but if we're judging Kirk Cousins based on how he has played the last 2 seasons, I think that he's kind of playing the best football of his career. And I know that he has an upcoming contract negotiation with the Minnesota Vikings in the offseason. I do think that if the Vikings don't sign him, there's going to be a really big market for Kirk Cousins, because Kirk Cousins is a good enough quarterback that he may not be able to win you a Super Bowl, but he can definitely get you close to winning one if you give him a good team around him. And the Minnesota Vikings haven't really done a great job at that. And there was a point during this game where Kirk Cousins didn't have TJ Hawkinson or Jordan Addison. So Kirk Cousins, he had a really big performance against the 49ers in this win. Jordan Addison, their first-round pick out of USC, he was snapping in this game. And I got a classmate of mine who I told not to trade Jordan Addison away on his fantasy football team. He traded away Jordan Addison and some other players. I think it was Tyler Lockett for James Cook. And I was like, man, what are you doing, man? Justin Jefferson is going down with an injury. Guess who's going to be the number one? Jordan Addison. He had 123 receiving yards, 7 receptions, and 2 touchdowns. I was really shocked when he caught that 1 touchdown, when he basically stole the interception from Trevarius Ward. That was an incredible catch and an incredible play by him. And everybody on the sideline was giving him a lot of love, as they should. Jordan Addison looks like one of the best rookie wideouts from this past year's draft class. And we got a lot of them, so that's high praise, because this is probably going to go down as one of the best rookie wide receiver classes of all time. The 2023 draft class is absolutely stacked. Just to know how stacked it is, Puka Nacua was a mid-round pick, and he's been going off this season. So Jordan Addison has been incredible for the Minnesota Vikings this season. And the half the performance that he had in this game, I think definitely has to put a lot of people on notice that once Justin Jefferson comes back, Jordan Addison, if he continues to play at this level, the Minnesota Vikings most definitely can get themselves back into the race for the NFC North Division, because the Detroit Lions just lost to the Baltimore Ravens. They're 5-2 right now, and I don't think that the Vikings are going to win like 12 or 13 games, but I don't really see Detroit as an 11-win team. Maybe they can get to 12 wins, but I think that Minnesota does have a chance to catch the Detroit Lions by surprise, because you know what a lot of people overlook about the NFL? You see, so people early in the season are just so quick to make predictions, and they're just so quick to judge teams. And me, sometimes I can fall victim to that. But for the most part, I don't really start giving out analysis about how confident I feel in teams until around November, late in the month of November, around the holiday of Thanksgiving, because I think that after Thanksgiving is where we start to see the pretenders separate themselves from the contenders. And I don't think that the Vikings are a contender, but I definitely think that they are a playoff caliber football team. And even though they do have some limitations, I mean, their defense has played outstanding this season. Now, statistically, their defense may not rank the highest in terms of amongst the rest of the other great defenses in the NFL, but Brian Flores has proven to be a really good hire as the defensive coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings, because Ed Donatel, the previous defensive coordinator for Minnesota last year, his defenses were terrible. He was super conservative. He didn't really take a lot of chances, didn't really send a lot of blitzes. Well, Brian Flores, he puts the aggressiveness when it comes to the style of defense that he plays, because he was really getting after Brock Purdy and Kyle Shanahan's offense. And I've started to peep that the 49ers, they kind of struggle against aggressive defenses. Because think about it. When they lost to the Cleveland Browns last week, right? Who's Cleveland's defensive coordinator? Jim Schwartz. And what is Jim Schwartz known for? Being really aggressive. So anytime the 49ers go against a really aggressive defense that can really get after it, that isn't afraid to send the house, like people kept on talking about Minnesota zone blitzing, like nobody cares about them zone blitzing. They don't care if they get beat over the top. This is Brian Flores that we're talking about. I remember when Brian Flores was the head coach of the Miami Dolphins, and when they beat Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens on a Thursday night, and they blitzed Lamar Jackson nearly every play with the same blitz. Brett Coleman has a video about it. Go watch it. So if you think that Brian Flores cares about getting beat over the top here and there to his aggressiveness, you're crazy, man. Like, Brian Flores is one of those defensive coordinators that's just going to throw caution to the wind. He knows that the Minnesota Vikings pass rush doesn't have that much talent. So, of course, you're going to have to send additional pressure. When the 49ers go up against aggressive defenses, this offense doesn't do a great job. And the run game wasn't going. Brock Purdy, he didn't have a good game. He sold this game, and it really surprised me, because Brock Purdy normally plays really good with taking care of the football. So his last couple of weeks have been really concerning to me. Now, I'm not saying that I'm losing faith in Brock Purdy. I'm just saying that I'm starting to now get a better understanding of where he currently ranks amongst the quarterbacks in the league. Because when he came out like a bat out of hell out of nowhere, you know, he went from a guy who was the third, fourth string quarterback on the depth chart last season to leading them to the NFC Championship game. It was kind of hard to get a read on just how good he really is. And right now, you know, I think that Brock Purdy probably is around like a top 13 quarterback at the moment. You know, prior to the last 2 weeks, people were trying to say that he was a front runner over Chris McCaffrey for MVP. I was like, listen, I think Brock Purdy is a solid quarterback, and you can definitely win a Super Bowl with him, but I don't think he's like a top 5, top 10 quarterback. I don't think he's like an MVP caliber quarterback, at least right now. I think we need to hold on trying to anoint Brock Purdy as like the next Tom Brady. You feel me? He's a great story, and I believe in Brock Purdy, but I wasn't out here saying that he was an elite quarterback, anything like that. Even I had kind of modest expectations, and I think that people kind of need to start reevaluating Brock Purdy and where they rank him. And he's just so polarizing of a player, is that people either think that he's a fraud or people think that he's really good, and I don't really think that people give Brock Purdy reasonable analysis. I think that with Brock Purdy, the fact that he's had so much success so early, people either are quick to wait for him to fall off so they can be the first person to say, like, I told you he was a fraud, or you got people who are quick to say that he's the next great Tom Brady. When I just think that Brock Purdy was just a really lucky draft pick by the 49ers when they whiffed on Trey Lance. Now, when you look at how this game played out, defensively, their defense played as good as a game as what you would want them to. I mean, it's not like the Minnesota Vikings put up 30 points and they were moving the ball up and down the field. I mean, they did get beat on a couple of, you know, spectacular plays. That Jordan Addison touchdown, I don't really think you can get too mad at that if you're a 49ers fan. That's just a great play. Like, 9 times out of 10, that play is an interception. If that play got replayed over and over again 10 times, I'm pretty sure that Jordan Addison wouldn't make that same play repeatedly. So that was just a really great play by Jordan Addison. You know, good awareness on his part. I still think that the 49ers are a really good team. It's just that when you're a team like Minnesota, and you're kind of in desperation mode, you kind of need a little bit of luck to go your way. You're kind of going to need a couple of great plays and maybe a couple of calls to go your way. And that's what Minnesota kind of had in this game. Now, I'm not going to say that it was all luck because that would be disrespectful. They had a really good game plan. They got out to a pretty solid lead on the 49ers early. They were up 10-0 at one point, and the 49ers lost the turnover battle. They had 3 turnovers. The Vikings only had 1. And anytime you're a team that's a favorite, and you end up losing a turnover battle, a team like Minnesota, if they end up winning the game, is going to be because of that, because they were able to capitalize off your turnovers. And their best players just didn't step up in big moments. And Brock Purdy, it's funny how he went from being kind of viewed as the next great Tom Brady to now kind of looking like Jimmy Garoppolo. Be honest, bro. The last 2 weeks that we've seen Brock Purdy play, he's looked really similar to Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo, what was he notoriously known for doing late in games? Giving the ball away. And that's what Brock Purdy has been the last 2 weeks. Now, I'm not saying that I'm losing faith in Brock Purdy, but I just think that Brock Purdy is a top 13 quarterback. I think people are too quick to anoint him elite quarterback. People are too quick to hop on the bandwagon trying to say he was an MVP candidate. I was like, hold up. But at the same time, like, I'm not one of those people that's been rooting for Brock Purdy to fail like a lot of people kind of seem like they have. Like, I don't get why people just can't evaluate players for what they are. Why does a player have to be a fraud? What about Brock Purdy was a fraud? Like, what the hell was you expecting out of the last pick of last year's draft? You feel me? So overall, this is a very great win by the Minnesota Vikings. They really needed this win. And I was kind of a little bit surprised that they were out to the start that they were. Even though they did have some limitations, they got a really good coaching staff. And Brian Flores probably should be a head coach somewhere. He probably is going to be on their staff for at least another year. I don't think he's going to get a head coaching opportunity anytime soon. He does have like a pending lawsuit going on with the NFL or something like that. So I think he's going to be in Minnesota for the foreseeable future. And this is a defense that doesn't really have the most talent. When you're running a Brian Flores kind of defense, your cornerbacks have to be really good in man coverage. Now, their safeties and their DBs did make some really good plays in this game. Bynum had some really good moments, had a really big interception late in the game to seal it. And they do have a couple of other good players that I really like on the defense. But I think next year, when the Minnesota Vikings are able to get a little bit more room to spend and to upgrade the defense, Brian Flores' defense is really going to hit the next level. But for the 49ers, you lost your second straight game. You got to go back to your drawing board because the offense has kind of started to go a little bit cold. Brock Purdy, maybe he needs to start trying to get with Kyle Shanahan and trying to figure out some new things that works and trying to get back to the basics. But I just don't think that the Vikings just won this game because it was just purely luck. I do think that this was a fantastic game plan by Brian Flores, and the 49ers offense does have, kind of games where they tend to struggle against aggressive defenses that send a lot of pressure and can really get after. Because you got to remember that the Vikings defense, since they are able to be so aggressive and they really get after you, they disrupt the timing of Kyle Shanahan's offense. This is a rhythm-based, timing-based offense. So therefore, if you're getting pressure on Brock Purdy, he doesn't have time to get into rhythm, of course, your offense is going to struggle. Plus, you shut down Christian McCaffrey. So let me know your thoughts on the Minnesota Vikings 22-17 win over the San Francisco 49ers down in the comment section down below.